What's up, y'all? My name is Devontae, and I sacrificed my time so you don't have to. I was going to make this a part of the AEW intro tonight, but nah, this has to be a standalone video. The more and more I'm thinking about it, and the more and more everything keeps coming out in regards to talking points and, you know, this whole scenario right now. Now, I'm going to just be straight up, just up front for you guys right now. I have not kept up with TNA on like a consistent basis for the better part of 11 years. Now, if you want to leave the video because of that, I'm gonna be up front. I ain't gonna lie. I don't follow TNA like that anymore. I haven't. Now, granted, I will say with how big the company is starting to get again, I might have to rethink that. And I thought about that about a month ago since the Hard to Kill pay-per-view. But as of right now, I haven't really followed the product like that. Not to say that it isn't good. I just never had really any reason to want to follow it. Again, that's going to probably change in the future going forward, so keep that in mind. But apparently Scott D'Amore, he got fired from TNA Wrestling. Now, personally, I knew he was the president. I've been keeping up with that. I knew that much. But like, I don't know. I just never really considered Scott D'Amore like a figurehead. I mean, I know he has been, but I don't know, like my whole look as far as Scott D'Amore is considered, I mean, I always knew him as the manager for Team Canada, you know, back in the days with Bobby Roode and, you know, Eric Young and Petey Williams, the good old days of I keep saying AEW, of TNA, the good old days, am I right? But no, he was outed as president. So let me read these articles for you real quick so you guys can get a better understanding of what the fuck is going on here, I guess. Got all the links down in the comment section below if you want to, or I guess in the description box below if you want to follow along. Impact Wrestling is now TNA Wrestling once again. That welcome change back to a nostalgic name brought some fans back, but Scott D'Amore is out. TNA Wrestling announced the contract of company president Scott D'Amore has been terminated. I'm going to probably botch this. It's an Italian name. Anthony Ciccione, I guess I'm saying it right, has been named as his replacement. In a press release issued Wednesday afternoon, TNA Wrestling states, and I quote, "The move aims to further integrate TNA Wrestling into Anthem's entertainment group, of which Ciccione is the president, leveraging the entire company's resources to add more value in areas including production, distribution, marketing, viewership, customer acquisition, digital revenue streams, ad sales and sponsorships, digital tech operations, and more." D'Amore had been with TNA since 2003, held many key leadership positions, and played a vital role in the return of the TNA wrestling brand last month. And I quote, further on, "Anthem thanks him for the commitment he brought to the business, the talent, and the people who work outside of the ring. This is a move," end quote, by the way, "this is a move that few, if anybody, saw coming." Based on reactions from prominent wrestling journalists on social media, D'Amore has been the face of Impact Wrestling's rebrand back to TNA Wrestling, and now he's out 3 weeks after the rebrand. So before I go further on, let me read this also, just out of curiosity. I don't know if you guys care about this. Who is Anthony Ciccione? For the past 16 years, Ciccione has served at Anthem, overseeing technical operations and managing various cable and digital channels. Before joining Anthem, he worked as a producer of sports content, notably contributing to the success of The Score by introducing WWE to the channel. Apart from his role as president of entertainment, Ciccione will assume responsibility for overseeing the daily business operations at TNA Wrestling. Holy shit, don't smoke before you read, folks. With over 30 years of executive level management expertise, he brings a wealth of experience to the organization. Ciccione has served with Anthem for 16 years, overseeing technical operations in various cable and digital channels. Before joining Anthem, he was instrumental in elevating The Score's success, you just said that shit, notably by securing WWE programming for the channel. What's next? While we are not sure about the details about why, because this is a brand new story, it is a shocking turn of events to see Scott D'Amore removed as TNA president. D'Amore championed the company's shift back to TNA wrestling as well, and he seemed to have morale up in the locker room as fan interests. SC Scoops will have more information on the breaking story as more information is made available. Which it has been. I actually was going to report on this originally before I said, I don't know if anyone actually necessarily cares about this. No disrespect to Scott D'Amore, but again, TNA in the grand scope of things, although it's starting to get bigger again, it's like, it's still, in the end of the day, TNA. One may argue they're like the third biggest brand in North America right now, right behind AEW. But overall in professional wrestling, you might even argue they're currently, now again, they're starting to rise, but you may even argue in professional wrestling in general, they're number 4 behind New Japan Pro Wrestling. But again, apparently everybody's like really, and I can understand why, if you're a TNA fan in the end of the day, this is your guy. And it doesn't really seem to me like there was some type of nefarious things that Scott D'Amore was doing behind the scenes. It doesn't seem like this is a Vince McMahon situation. It really just seems like, they wanted to implement their own people from the Anthem side into that position. Although it seems kind of shitty because it's like, why let the man do all this and build your company back up and make it as relevant as it has been in years just to remove him from that position? That's kind of fucked up in the end of the day, right? Right? It's like you're making him like the rebound guy. Like, imagine in the end of the day, it's like a relationship with a girl, right? Imagine you're this nerd and, you're like you remember that movie from Nick Cannon, Love Don't Cost a Thing? Well, I guess kind of in reverse because, Nick Cannon ended up being an asshole when it was all said and done before the conclusion of the movie. But imagine you're a nerd and you want to date this hot girl and everything, and she'll give you the time of day only if you help her get her grades up, and then you actually do your part and you get her grades up and everything just for her to just throw you on the side of the road, right? That's how it is. Like, help me get my grades up. Don't kiss me. Don't touch me. Don't do anything to me. But you could be next to me. You can exist within my presence. And as soon as she gets your grade, as soon as you get her grades all the way up, it's like, okay, can I finally do the deed? Like, can I kiss you? Can I do whatever I want, that we agreed on? She's like, nah, I already got my grades up. Get the fuck up out of here. That's kind of like the feeling that I get when seeing the situation. But here, check it out. Again, link is down in the description box below. I found some more articles while talking about this. Yes, I could chew gum and, rub my tummy and breathe and all those other cliches at the same time. Check this out. This is according to Sean Ross Sapp behind Fightful's paywall. One talent said they believed, and I quote, Anthem wanted the brand to be more closely associated with them as opposed to D'Amore. And when we asked another about that, they said, I can see that, but he saved TNA. Okay, so essentially what I just said. They let him get him to the finish line and then they just kicked him out. Like, that's so fucked up. That's really fucked up. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. Scott D'Amore was heavily involved in forging TNA and WWE relationship. Here, I want to read this real quick. The Royal Rumble Premium Live event kicked off with the highly anticipated Women's Royal Rumble match where Jordynne Grace made her WWE debut as the 5th entrant. This was truly the beginning of a relationship with WWE and TNA, but it might have ended before it properly started. In fact, Scott D'Amore, holy shit, they botched the shit out of the spelling of his name. Typical ringside news. Gotta love those Indians over there, right? Was heavily involved in forging a relationship between the two companies. As previously reported, Anthem Sports and Entertainment Inc. took a major step in the realm of professional wrestling by naming Anthony Ciccione as the president of TNA Wrestling, thereby effectively firing Scott D'Amore as president of TNA, a role he performed to the best of his abilities for years. PW Insider reported that Scott D'Amore was significantly involved in establishing a potential relationship between TNA and WWE. The extent of the continuation of this development would remain uncertain. If TNA aims to foster connections with Paul Levesque and other WWE personnel, they may need to appoint someone else to continue building that rapport. And I quote, the belief is that Scott D'Amore was heavily involved with the building the potential relationship between the two sides. If and how it continues to develop remains to be seen, but TNA will have to tap someone else to continue to build that rapport with Paul Levesque and the rest of WWE. Wow. Okay, is there anything else in regards to discussing this situation? Oh, okay, hang on. What TNA talents were told about Scott D'Amore stepped down as president? What? That's wild. Wait, what TNA talents were told about Scott D'Amore stepped down as president during meeting? Huh? And I quote, a number of talents from the call relayed to PWInsider.com that during the meeting, it was stated that D'Amore has stepped down from the company, which is not the case, and not even what was stated in the company's official statement. We are told by several that this did not sit well with some of the talents, and as one wrestler said, this wasn't the way to start off a relationship with the locker room, especially since so many talents had a connection with D'Amore, and that the vast majority like D'Amore. Yeah, because at the end of the day, you got to think about this. Like, Scott D'Amore was one of the boys first, right? It's like a Triple H situation, but one may even argue times 10. Because, you know, with Triple H back in the days, he had a reputation of being a, you know, like a backstabber and a guy who would do anything to get to the top. And he more or less had to forge relationships with the newer talent, right? He was never on good terms with any of the boys who were in that locker room, say back in the Attitude Era or back in the Ruthless Aggression Era. All this building of relationship with the newer talent didn't really start with Triple H until like 2009, 2010 when he first got to that management position, right? And it's like with Scott D'Amore, he's been one of the boys for like the better part of a decade, through and through, from 2003 up until when he became president. You know, and again, he had other positions before even being that. So yeah, that's a huge, huge, huge blow to TNA. And again, I don't think any legitimate news has came out in regards. I mean, I know what we're seeing right now as far as them saying that they want to implement their own guys into that position from the Anthem side. And again, there could be other scenarios that I'm not taking into consideration. I mean, it's not lost on me in the back of my mind that there could be other foul plays that could be a reason as to why. I don't believe that to be the case. But again, it's not as if I'm just going to throw that away, because it just seems so fucking out of nowhere and so random and like so unnervingly. Because it's like, again, you have a guy who's super duper well liked. He had communication building with WWE. Like, you want my honest opinion? If I had to throw it out there, as far as what actually probably sparked all this, I'm going to just throw out something, and I'm probably wrong, but maybe there was a situation where Anthem wanted to actually do something that Scott D'Amore probably thought was going to harm TNA in the long run, and he refused to implement it, or he refused to want to take part of that situation. And Anthem looked at it like, okay, look, if you're not really going to be down for what we want to do with TNA going forward, then you just need to get out of that spot, and we'll put somebody else in that position who's willing to be a yes man and do whatever we want him to do in order to meet whatever agenda we want to put across. That's how it comes off to me, at the very least. Again, maybe something happened a little bit more nefarious, but to me it seems more like Scott D'Amore didn't want to be a team player with Anthem because he kind of felt that it was going to affect something within the realms of TNA. Again, I could be wrong. That's just my, my smarky internet IWC theory in the end of the day. But let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, man. This is a sad day for TNA fans in particular, and one can argue a sad day in professional wrestling, because it's not as if Scott D'Amore was really a bad guy. I never heard a bad word about him, and it seems like all the wrestlers liked him. I see no bad words said from any of the TNA fans. He's the reason why they're now relevant again, and haven't really been relevant for the better part of a decade, and now they're starting to get there again, and it just seems like a really, really fucked up thing to do, to let the guy build you all the way up and just like dispose of him like he was a peon. Now, I will say this, in the end of the day, because of that relationship they built with WWE, I mean, there's a part of me that kind of hopes that maybe Scott D'Amore can go help out, WWE. Maybe he can be a producer for them. Triple H is in charge now, so it's not as if like he can't put in a good word for somebody, in the upper echelon. And who knows, with Scott D'Amore, I mean, it's kind of like the same situation with Ogawa, with him going to WWE. Who's to say that when some of the TNA talent's contracts expire, that Scott D'Amore won't bring some of the more prominent talent along with him? I mean, I don't really believe any of the TNA guys want to really work underneath a company where like they're more or less, I don't want to say being used per se, to just prolong something that they don't really want to be a part of, because they had a good thing going with a vision that was implemented by Scott D'Amore. But at the same time though, it's like, you work under a management, and that management happened to be really good friends with you at the same time. You had a good rapport, as stated in the article. You had a good thing going with that relationship, and again, because it's not just a firing of a boss you really, really like. From the sounds of it, it sounds like it's a firing of a really good friend of yours. You know, Scott D'Amore sounds like he wasn't just a boss. It sounds like he was really good friends with the majority of his talents. So it's not just your boss that you like is getting fired. It's your homeboy getting fired at the end of the day also. So I don't think this is going to have a lot of good things going in regards to TNA, and I think this is going to be a huge backlash on TNA, which is a damn shame that, you know, the product has to suffer because of these assholes and this, you know, establishment. And again, I just want to say one more time, maybe there could have been a legitimate substantial reason as to why they did what they did outside of the fact this is what we heard so far in these articles that have not been brought up yet. I'm not going to say that isn't the case, and if you want to bring up something when something happens later on, I just want you to remember that I'm saying this. I'm not disposing of the possibility that that could be the case. But from what it looks like, you know, like, to just get rid of a guy like that when he did all that work for you just seems really shitty in the end of the day. And to see the brand now that's going to probably be affected by this, because a lot of fans are going to take that personal, and, you know, TNA just being built up so highly in relevance, now probably going right back down because of what you did to their head leader, and then all the wrestlers probably going to follow suit as far as following where D'Amore goes. It's a damn shame. Anthem didn't have to do that. Once again, big wig corporations sticking their nose where it doesn't belong, right? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. I'll talk about something else, I guess, now in the intro for AEW. So I'll see you guys there later on tonight. As always, my name is Devontae, and I'll be catching you guys later. Deuces, P-Eyes.